Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the cylinder 2 spark plug and spark plug wires on a Chevy Trailblazer. Now this is the 5.3 liter V8. If you have any of the other vehicles that utilize this same 5.3 liter V8, you'll know that cylinder 2 spark plug is a problem to access. I did a video in the past showing how to do the spark plugs and cables on this vehicle. If you want to see that full video, the link will be across the top. I'll also have it down in the description. But I've been getting a lot of comments on that video where people are asking specifically for cylinder 2. In that video, I didn't really go into details how I accessed it. So while I'm working on this vehicle, again, I figured I would just shoot this video showing specifically how to access that one spark plug since it's a problem. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, when you're dealing with this vehicle here with this 5.3 liter V8, your even cylinders, your 2, 4, 6, and 8, it's easier to get to the spark plugs and the cables through the wheel well here on the passenger side. I have the wheel well liner removed, all that stuff. As mentioned already, in my full video, I go in more depth how to do that. I'm not wasting time with that here. We're focusing strictly on that cylinder 2. But your 8, 6, and 4, easy access right through here. Cylinder 2 is tucked right behind this strut right here. But I'm going to get a close-up and show you there's a little access area that GM has given you where you can access that with an articulating ratchet that we can feed up in there with an extension. But we are going to have to remove the upper control arm and the strut from the upper strut mount just to pull them out of the way to access it. But here's a close-up of it. Coming along here, here's our strut, upper control arm. These are held on by two 21mm bolts that we're going to have to remove, pull that out of the way, and then up top here, and we'll get to that, I'll show you up top, is the upper mount for the strut. We'll take those nuts off as well. We can pull all that out, but as you can see right there, here's our access right here. And if we come down, you can see right up in there is our spark plug and cable up in there. So if we take our articulating ratchet, once we have this out of the way, we can get right up in there and remove that. Coming up here, and looking right down in there, there's our strut. You have a 15mm nut here and a 15 here that we'll have to remove, and then we can then lower it and pull that out so we can pull the strut away and access that opening. Now that we've identified everything, I'm going to remove the upper control arm and also the two nuts up top for the strut so we can pull that out of the way, and then we'll be back so I can show you the access. Using a 21mm wrench, you can remove the two bolts that hold the upper control arm in place. Now this right side here, you won't be able to remove it by hand until you remove this left bolt first. So we'll remove this left one. And once we have it out, we can take it out by hand. And after you remove this bolt completely, you can rotate the control arm enough to get this right bolt out. Now we can move the control arm out of the way. Remove the two 15mm nuts here from the strut, the top mount. And then we'll be ready to lower it. But one thing I did fail to mention at the beginning, you also need to remove the stabilizer link from the lower control arm for it to fully drop. Now that we have the stabilizer link removed from the lower control arm, the upper control arm has been disconnected. We took the two nuts off of the upper strut mount. I have a hydraulic jack under the upper control arm because you're going to need that to stabilize this while you're doing the nuts up top. So now that that's done, I can gently lower this, and that strut will come right down. And now we can pull that out of the way. And now we have access to get to that spark plug. Coming in through here, there's that little access. Now, as you can see, turn the light on. There's our spark plug wire and spark plug right up there. We'll get our articulating ratchet up in there, pop that out, and that's how you do it. Try to get a shot here. There's our cables. I'm going to use a hose plier, grab onto that so we can pull that out of there. So let's see if I can do all this with one hand while I'm holding the camera. There's the spark plug cable. disconnected it up top first. I'm replacing these anyway, so I don't really care. They get damaged. There we go. That's that one. Looking in there, you can see the spark plug. So we're going to put the spark plug socket on there and connect it to the articulating ratchet, and we'll remove that. So next I'm going to show you what I have going on here. I have this articulated ratchet, so that way it can bend around there. Now what I also have, I have an extension going in there. I believe it's a 6-inch extension, and all the way up in there, the spark plug socket I'm using also has an articulating knuckle on it, and I'll show you that in a second. But we have that all the way in there. So basically, we're going straight up in, and then we're bending to connect to it, coming out here, and then now this is bending. So now we'll get a good grip on it, and we can unscrew it. It's coming out nicely. And you can try to get to it from the top. There's a little bit of access there, but I found this is easier because you have this right here where you can get more leverage. But I'll show you from the top as well. There's a little bit of an opening there, but this is how I do it. Okay. Now we can turn this. And there's our spark plug. So this is what I'm talking about here. This is the spark plug socket that I'm using. So this way it has this articulating knuckle on it. So you can then go in, bend it, and you can work all in those tight spots. If you use a straight one, it's hard to do that. But here's our spark plug. And that's pretty much it for removing that. For this video, that's all that I'm showing. But let's head up to the top real quick, and I'll show you the access that you can get to from up there. It's a little bit tighter, but it's up to you. I just found this is easier. It does take a little more work because you got to take things off, but at least you have clear access to remove the old and put the new one in and access the boot and all that stuff. Coming in from the top, if we look all the way down here, there's our strut mount on the left. You can see the boot going into that cylinder 2 spark plug, but as you can see here, there's not much room. You can see the strut support there on the left. On the right is the exhaust manifold, and this is all that you're going to have to deal with. It's a hassle. You're better off going through the wheel well. So that wraps up this video on how to access, remove, and I'm not going to be putting the new one in. It'd be the same process. If you want to see how to put them in and torque them and gap them and all that stuff, that's on my other video where I showed how to do the spark plugs on this vehicle as a whole. Like I said at the beginning, just wanted to focus on cylinder 2 because I'm getting a lot of comments from people asking, because in my video I wasn't clear. I didn't really show this whole process of getting this specific one out. But I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it helped you out with any projects you're working on. Please send me any questions and comments. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate all the support. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you next time.